Welcome to In the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network. In the Huddle is brought to you by Mole Lake Casino Lodge and Conference Center. Now, here's Bill Scott and Green Bay defensive lineman B.J. Raji.
And good evening from Tanner's Sports Grill in Kimberly. You are in the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network. I am Justin Hull. Bill Scott feeling under the weather tonight, so we wish him best, and he'll be back next week. But that's not important. What's important is the man sitting to my left, Packers defensive tackle, 3-0, B.J. Raji. How you doing, B.J.?
I'm doing great. It definitely feels good to be 3-0. You know, you put a lot of work into training camp, and especially the situation we had this offseason with the lockout, just to come out and not really playing our best football, but doing enough to win.
Yeah, has the lockout affected that at all? I mean, is there a little rust that's going on that you're still trying to, kind of work off?
I don't know if you could really put it on the lockout. I think a lot of it is just execution, and that falls on the players. And I think that we're doing a better job at this as the weeks go on, and I think hopefully we can continue to do that.
Well, obviously you're executing better than the opponents. 3-0 yesterday, 27-17 against the Chicago Bears. Packer fans love when you guys beat the Bears.
Definitely. That's definitely a big game. I don't think that's a secret. And for us to go out there in Chicago in a pretty hostile environment, and especially against a team that's kind of having a little, a bad feeling coming off the last game we met, just to go out there and have a good performance, it's a credit to us as a team and as a coaching staff.
Was it weird seeing them in orange uniforms?
No, I kind of liked it, actually. I mean, I think they're the traditional navy blue, whatever you call it. I think that's kind of dull. And, I mean, obviously, if you have the opportunity to do so, why not change it up sometimes?
So are we going to see – well, you have the Powerball uniforms, the one with the circles on it that you guys wear. You're wearing those again this year. Would we ever see a Green Bay in a yellow uniform, a gold uniform, I should say?
I'm really not the guy to ask about that.
You got some pull around there. You got a Super Bowl ring.
I do have a Super Bowl ring, but I don't make decisions on what we wear.
Well, let's get further into the game from yesterday, the 27-17 victory over the Bears. Chicago's running game, 12 carries, 13 yards. That was Chicago's fewest yards in the running game since 1960 in that game yesterday.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive, knowing the type of team that Chicago obviously puts together. They're obviously a good franchise, and they have some good players throughout the years. And for us to go out there in a big game and shut the run game down, just a great feeling, and it's a great effort.
You enjoy being part of history like that? I mean, when you hear a record, the Bears are a franchise. They've been around, forever, and 50 years since they've been that inept on the offensive running game. That's something to be proud
50
of.
years. A lot of players have come and gone, and for us to kind of set a record like you stated, just a big rivalry game where emotions are high, and coaches and obviously players want to win. It's just a great effort and overall team effort.
I believe there are 12 carries, the second fewest in team history as well. Kind of a different look from Chicago, who used to be a black and blue team. Now they were trying to air it out on you guys, but just kind of a testament to how effective you were in the run defense.
Right, and I think run defense plays a big part of that, but I also think our offense, the ability to put 14 points up before you can blink, kind of takes their game plan. I'm sure after coming off a week where they ran the ball 9 times, I think they probably had a little more run coming into this game thinking, but when you're down 14-0, you kind of have to put the ball up in the air.
Take us through the advantage that a defensive player has, knowing that, they've abandoned the running game. They're not going to run the football. They're passing. So you guys pretty much know you got free will. Just pin the ears back and go get Cutler.
Yeah. Most defenses, yes. Our defense, we do a little different things. Sometimes we'll have coverage up front. But obviously, you want to, if you're a defensive lineman or a guy that rushes the passer, you want to be in a situation where it's third and long and probably passes, probably what you're thinking.
Well, the punt play. That's a play everybody's been talking about today at the end of the game when Devin Hester came up, acted like he was catching it. Johnny Knox on the other side of the field. Kind of take us through that play and what you saw from it on the sidelines and what really was going on there.
What I saw and what I've heard, I'm obviously not on those teams, but I just heard it was a great fake by Chicago because obviously a situation like that, you're down a few scores, or in our case, we're up a few scores. You're putting the ball away. You're obviously keying directly on Hester, and Hester executed a perfect fake and drew all our cover guys towards him and they got, I think it was Knox, I don't know who it was, that caught the ball. It was actually, no one was anywhere near him. And I think, based on what everyone's saying, that was a pretty good play by them.
All right, a couple things I learned yesterday in the game watching the telecast. Do you know you hold a playoff record?
I believe I do know that.
What record is that?
Probably the biggest man to score a touchdown.
That is correct. At 335 pounds, you are the largest man to score a touchdown in a playoff game. I think Sam Adams was 350. He did it in a regular season game.
Wow. I take that with pride, and most guys in my position at nose tackle can't really say they scoring touchdowns, so that's a little feather under my cap.
I got to ask you one other thing, too. What happened to the freezer package? I mean, against Chicago, Packer fans remember William Refrigerator Perry scoring the touchdown. I think everybody's waiting to see you slam one in against the Bears.
Well, I mean, a guy in your profession, I mean, I'm pretty sure you know who's calling the plays, not myself. I would obviously give it to myself in most situations, but that's not up to me. And I guess Coach McCarthy does a great job calling the game, and I guess at certain times it wasn't called for. I mean, we didn't have, my personal opinion, we should have, the margin of the victory should have been a lot larger. And in a situation, maybe you do that. But in a close game, and obviously that punt play that we just talked about, if the referees don't call it a holding call, it's a completely different game. So I guess in that situation, Coach McCarthy went to back away from it.
How many guys would it take to get you down? All of them?
I would like to say all of them. Sound like a tough guy, but you got those guys flying at your knees. Who knows?
Okay, and the other thing I learned, you have a 33-inch vertical.
I do.
Does everybody know the 33-inch vertical? If BJ were to jump straight up in the air, the bottom of his feet would be 33 inches off the ground. It's just kind of a testament to the athleticism that you bring.
Yeah, it helps with my explosion off the line of scrimmage, and I think it's just an indication of how hard I've trained up until this point, and just working hard.
So were you a Vikings fan yesterday?
I would like to have seen Detroit lose, but they're all our enemies, so we have to beat all of them eventually, so we'll see when we get there.
Well, we're in the huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. Bill Scott out sick. Justin Hull sitting in with Packers defensive tackle B.J. Raji. We're coming up here to our first break, and when we return, we're going to bring in our special guest, one of many stars in yesterday's game. He had a couple of interceptions, Morgan Burnett. He'll be joining us in the next segment, and we'll continue on the show in the huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly, here on the Woodward Radio Network.
Now back to In the Huddle with Bill Scott and Green Bay defensive lineman B.J. Raji.
Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. In the Huddle, brought to you by Mole Lake Casino, Lodge, and Conference Center. Enjoy the excitement of Vegas close to home at Mole Lake Casino and Conference Center in beautiful Crandon, Wisconsin. More great games as well as casino action. Mole Lake offers first-class accommodations in their 75-room resort hotel, including family suites and whirlpool suites, along with a fitness center, swimming pool, and a full-service conference center. Also want to invite everybody listening at home as well as here at Tanner's In the Huddle on Facebook, In the Huddle GB. You can search that out, as well as our Twitter page, In the Huddle Show, and that is the I hate that word. The Twitter handle. There we go. All right, let's move along here with B.J. Raji, Justin Hull in for Bill Scott, and we welcome our special guest here with us tonight. Second year out of Georgia Tech, safety, wears number 42, Morgan Burnett. How you doing, Morgan?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Doing very well, and I can't be doing as well as you're doing. A couple of interceptions yesterday. I mean, a nice way to, establish yourself and make some plays.
Yeah, yesterday was just a good team win overall. It was a division game. Came away with a big win in Chicago. Now we're just looking forward to pushing and getting prepared for Denver next week.
How important was it for you guys as defensive backs, and more specifically you and Charlie too, at that safety position, to really step up after the loss last week with Nick Collins?
Yeah, with Nick going down, that was a big loss towards our defense because that's one of the captains on our defense. And just basically going into the game, we knew we were just going to have to be big on communication. And Charlie stepped in. It's nothing new to Charlie. He's a vet, 6+ years, so he has a lot of game experience, and we did a great job with communicating with one another and just going out there getting the job done.
Does that add pressure? Does that add a little bit more, I don't know if that's the right word, anxiety to you, or, trying to go out there and, step up your game because you guys are down a man?
It wasn't any pressure because throughout training camp, Coach does a great job with just rotating us in and out, whether it's myself and Nick or Nick and Pepper or me and Pepper together. So it really wasn't any pressure. It was nothing new or nothing strange. It's just all about being accountable and being prepared whenever your number's called.
Last year, week 4, you go down with the knee injury. Just kind of take us through last season and what you take away from that.
Last season was just basically just seeing the game from a different perspective, gained a lot of appreciation for the game, and just sitting down like a student and learning the game. And really just going into this year, my main goal is just go out there each and every week and show improvement on film and just cherish every moment that I'm out there.
Was it similar to like a freshman year at college? I know, like as a redshirt year. I know you were out there, you were playing right away, but just kind of sit back and absorb everything. I mean, was it a similar, thing you went through before in your career?
Like in college, I never redshirted, so actually, this was my first time ever having to just really sit out from football due to injury. So it was a learning curve for me, first time experience for myself, but you either could take it as a negative or a positive, and then just having a positive group of people around me in the locker room and the whole Green Bay Packer organization just kept me positive throughout the whole ordeal, and it makes you want to work harder and makes you want to hurry up and get back.
Now, BJ, you can speak to that too. I mean, watching Morgan play this year, we saw the flashes last year of what he was going to develop into. I mean, watching him this year, he's got it. I mean, he can play some football.
Definitely. Even go back to when the Pack drafted him. Obviously, I knew him pretty well. We played against him. As an Atlanta Coast Conference guy, a ball hawk in college, and he's physical. A lot of times you have safeties that have real good ball skills, but not as physical as you would like them to be. From day one, we saw that in Morgan, and everyone knew he was obviously the starting safety. Like you said, he got injured week 4, which kind of obviously put him at a disadvantage as far as playing time. But obviously this year he's come out and stepped up, and you can tell his film studies really helped him preparation, because a lot of times he's there before even really most safeties are.
What's kind of funny about that, too, is I remember with the draft stuff, people, prognosticators will write, positives and negatives. And one of the supposed knocks on you was doesn't play physical. And I'm watching him, these first 3 games, is just kind of realizing how ridiculous that is because, I mean, you're right up there and making the hits and stuff and, I guess proving the naysayers wrong.
Yeah, just basically going out there, knowing your capabilities and just going out there playing your game really and not really paying any attention because everyone out there is going to have their own opinion, whether it's good or bad, but you can't control them. Only thing you can control is what you do on the football field on a certain day.
Do you play with more of a fire now? I mean, after watching everything from the outside this last year, coming back this year, is there more of a fire in the eye? Is there more of you talk about being more appreciative of the game, studying it last year. But do you play with more of a fire this year now that you're back out there and back doing what you love? Yeah, you play with a little more fire, then you have a little more hunger. Because going into the Chicago game, Charles Woodson, right before the game, the DBs will circle up and he'll give us a little pregame speech. And he basically was saying, you never know when your last play will happen. So you got to go out there and cherish every moment and play 100% all out on every play, and that's the way you got to really just approach the game because you never know when that last play can occur. A couple of things about you. I was reading your bio. Your nickname is Uno? Yeah, that's a college nickname going into my freshman year. I wore the jersey number 1 in college, and so my friends back in college just started calling me Uno, and then the coaches started calling me Uno, so I just basically stuck and ran with it throughout college. Now, has that ended in Green Bay? Do you got a new nickname? I mean, what do the teammates call you now? It varies, guys have different nicknames for you, so it can vary from MB to Morg to whatever someone feeling that day or want to call you. Well, you have Freezer.
Right. I mean, some people call me Freeze, BJ. I get Raji a lot, just traditional, I guess sports, call me by your last name. But pretty much those.
I heard Donald Driver and the receivers call Randall Cobb corn. Is corn on the cob? I heard that on.
That's probably what they're referring to.
You have any other good nicknames? I mean, that you can share with us, and I emphasize you can share with us.
To be honest with you, what do you think, Morgan? I don't. Nothing I can think of, really.
All right, we can move on from that. So
please do.
Ted Thompson traded up to get you. Are you aware of how much Ted Thompson doesn't trade up to get players?
The time that I got drafted, I really didn't understand or knew anything about it until actually last season you start reading and hearing about it. But just the whole draft process and just getting drafted is really an honor by itself because you have all those mixed emotions and all these top athletes out there. And just being fortunate enough to get drafted in the third round by a first-class organization really meant a lot to me.
I remember on draft day he was talking about how excited they were that you were there and had the opportunity to come and trade up for him, which, I mean, you're drafted by a team, obviously they want you, but when they go out of their way to get you, I mean, that's just more of a confidence boost in what they think of you, right?
Yeah, it really means a lot to you because it shows that anytime a team drafts you, it shows the team's interest in you, and you just want to go out there and just play hard because that team went out to get you. You want to go out and play hard for them.
So I'm going to admit something right now, okay? On draft day, when the Packers took B.J. Raji, I doubted it. And I would like to apologize to you, B.J., for doubting it, and I thank you for proving me wrong.
You know what? I mean, that's anything in life. You have people that doubt, but obviously, not to sound cliche or anything, but belief in yourself is of utmost importance. And obviously, I like to say Ted knew what he was talking about, and I think Ted does a great job of draft day. Obviously, we're two kind of demonstrations of his fine work, and him and the scouting staff do a good job. Guys coming at a very young, I guess, stage in their playing career and able to contribute to a team, especially a championship team. And I think that, a lot of those guys get a lot of credit. A lot of times, the credit kind of falls short of those guys. But if you really look at it and examine the situation, they deserve actually a lot of the credit.
And obviously, I'm a perfect example of the media not knowing what the heck they're talking about, right?
Well, no. I'm sure there's probably several picks that you hit a home run on. You just happen to strike out on this one.
All right. In the Huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly, more with B.J. Raji and Morgan Burnett when we return here on the Woodward Radio Network.
To In the Huddle with Bill Scott and Green Bay defensive lineman B.J. Raji.
And back at Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly alongside B.J. Raji and Morgan Burnett. I'm Justin Hull in for Bill Scott tonight. And where's Lenny? We got to thank Lenny. Transportation for our players. L&S Classic Limousine Service. Lenny and Sue. Transportation for our guests provided by L&S Classic Limousine Service. Personal professional service for all occasions. You can call 1-800-830-5933 for your reservation. Your mic working?
Yeah, it's working.
Okay. Sounds good. All right.
Way to be aware.
Soldier Field. How is that at a football playing atmosphere? I mean, when you go to the game and, just all the ambiance. You've seen a lot of stadiums over the years. How does Soldier Field rank?
Well, ever since I've been in the league, obviously playing for the Packers, it's not real welcoming. It shouldn't be. They're our biggest rivals. You get everything from you driving up to the stadium, you get a bunch of flip-offs, you get some obscene gestures, you go out there and people are really liquored up and fired up to go. But this year I felt like it was a different feeling, actually. I felt like, it sounds crazy, but I felt like the confidence level wasn't what it usually is from the fans and from the Chicago Bears. I just felt like I just felt the confidence and the aura about us, and I felt like that was just interesting observation. But that I didn't feel that the juice was there for them this year.
I agree with you on that one. I talked to a couple of people from Chicago on the week, and they pretty much were saying everybody, chalked up the victory to you guys before they even came in, which was kind of, from a fan purpose, obviously, as a home team, you feed off the fans. You guys obviously do it at Lambeau with how great the fans are here.
I guess I had a different sense of what it would be. If ties would turn, if the Bears would just beat us in the NFC Championship game, coming back to Lambeau for the first time since the Super Bowl victory, our fans would be about ready to jump over the stands and go get them. So it was a little different, but I can't really worry about what they're doing.
How about for you, Morgan? I mean, playing at I know you were there last year on the Monday night game,
Yeah.
but you know, coming back after the NFC Championship game and all that, and you know, being back at Soldier Field.
To be honest, I only got 4 games in last year, so what's that, 2 away games? So this, to me, the crowd, it was a packed crowd, and going into that game, the intensity level was just so high. I really wasn't paying any attention to the fans, just looking to get the job done and try to come away with the win.
How about some of the venues in your college days? Playing in the ACC, both of you, Boston College for BJ and Morgan at Georgia Tech. What were some of the more exciting, you know, better atmospheres you guys played in?
I think Morgan would probably agree with this one. Virginia Tech is definitely a tough place to play. Their fans are probably one of the rowdiest in the ACC, if not. I sat out when we played Morgan and Georgia Tech, so I really wasn't there for that. Florida State, when it gets loud, is pretty loud, but thank God that we were always beating them, so we didn't really get into the game too much. But Clemson's another loud one. Death Valley down there in South Carolina is a pretty loud one.
That's a lot of orange at Clemson.
Yeah,
I was watching them on TV
It
running out, and all I saw was orange the other day.
Yeah, some days they rock the all orange jerseys and pretty bright out there. But it's a good place to play, and it's definitely a home field advantage for them.
All right, worst place you guys ever played? Is there a place you just went to which was a complete dump, and you're like, how do they hold a football team?
Conference or just period?
Yeah, period. Let's go.
Oh, man. My freshman year, we actually were opening the game. I don't know who scheduled this game. We're opening up Boston College at Ball State. And they were pretty rowdy because they were just so eager to beat, you know, a BCS team. A BCS team. Wise guy. But to play like a BCS team. And it felt like a high school game, to be honest with you.
Do you have any experiences like that, Mark?
I'll say Duke, the facility is real nice. The stadium is nice. Then you could tell, like, if they sell it out, it would be a loud crowd. But going into the game, you kind of have to get yourself prepared and, like, motivate yourself because the crowd is real, like, really not into the game. So I have to say Duke. But as far as, like, top stadiums, I have to say Clemson and VT. Boston College got pretty rowdy when we was there. And then, you know, when you come to Georgia Tech, now Bobby Dodd Stadium, we got a pretty long winning streak there, so it's pretty tough to win in Bobby Dodd Stadium.
Road locker rooms, are they terrible? I mean, your facility at Lambeau is unreal. And then you guys go on the road, and are you in these little cracker boxes where you're, you know, shoulder to shoulder? I mean, what is a road locker room like in the NFL?
For the most part, I think other teams do a good job as far as giving us some space and some breathing room. I have never really seen Lambeau's road locker room, so I can't really speak on that. But I think for the most part, it's okay. You might notice a difference between teams depending on. I think honestly, the teams in our division kind of have a small locker room, like the Vikings. The space is kind of a little condensed. Bears is decent. And Detroit is pretty decent, actually, but the Vikings and the Bears are probably closer to small in our division.
I'll move on to something else here. Did you hear Michael Vick's comments from yesterday after the game, talking about how he ends up on the ground every single play, and
right.
You know, officials need to throw more flags for hitting the quarterbacks? As a couple of defensive players, do you think the referees need to throw more flags for hitting a quarterback?
Obviously, my answer is going to be no, but I'll explain. You know, Mike is obviously a dynamic runner, and if you're a referee, you know, you don't want to blow the whistle too early and, I guess, prevent him from, you know, accumulating more yardage. But you also, there's already emphasis on hitting quarterbacks, period. So I don't think you have to take it a step further and kind of put the Michael Vick rule in place, because he's definitely a threat in two ways. So I think that he should be treated as a running back in some instances.
With all the rule changes, is it hard to kind of, I mean, you're thinking, okay, I don't want to do something to get flagged, but here I still got to play football. I mean, how do you balance that? I mean, how do you go about doing that?
You just got to go in and just basically play hard every play, because really you have to leave that up to the referees, and that's the ref's judgment. So you don't want to go in and try to let up and maybe look soft on certain plays. The only thing you could do is just keep going hard, and it's up to the referees and NFL officials to really determine whether it was a legal hit or a legal hit.
No, as a defensive lineman going into a quarterback, I mean, you probably got a lot to think about because, I mean, you can't touch a quarterback, especially if it's Tom Brady. Don't touch Tom Brady. You'll get a flag on you every time.
Yeah, defensive lineman, is definitely certain rules. Like, for instance, if you were to fall to the ground, you can't, from the ground, leap into a quarterback's knees. You have to, I guess, regain your balance and then proceed to hit him. But besides that, I think if there's any situation, knowing the rules, if there's any gray area, I would suggest pulling off because it's not going to be worth it. 15 yards in the first down, that's sometimes, depending on the field position, that can be real detrimental to a team.
So it's Denver coming up next week.
Right.
How game by game do you take it? Now, I ask that because if I were to ask you to go through your schedule after Denver, how far could you guys get?
I would probably get to Atlanta the next week after that, then that's about it.
Do you know beyond that?
I just get to Atlanta, that's it.
Well, that's got to be one that you're looking forward to, a kind of a homecoming going down to Atlanta, right?
Oh, it'd be a lot of fun because a lot of my family and friends would be able to get a chance to see me play live, so that'll be fun.
All right, one other thing I want to get to here. We got our email segment coming up, our Granite Peak email segment, inthehuddleshow.com. If you want to head over there, you can submit your questions. We still got a few minutes to get those, but did you watch the Pittsburgh-Indy game? Did you see any of that last night?
I caught the tail end of it because of our arrival time, yeah.
Have you seen the Colts this year? How weird is it seeing that team without Peyton Manning at the quarterback?
It's definitely, obviously, it's real weird. You don't get the sense. I mean, obviously, last night they played real well. They actually played well enough to win that game against a good Steelers team. But ultimately, not having Peyton Manning, you're definitely feeling a lot better going into that game than if they would have him.
It's just a little bit weird to see that, isn't it? Yeah, it is. All right, we'll continue on here in the Huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. Again, inthehuddleshow.com. That is the website each and every week. We have our special guest we put up there as well as the email segment. You can go there and win that ski package from our friends at Granite Peak. And we'll get to all of those coming up a little bit later on as well. And we'll take a look at the Denver Broncos and some other news and notes from around the National Football League as we continue on. In the Huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. Continuing here on your Monday night on the Woodward Radio Network.
Now back to In the Huddle with Bill Scott and Green Bay defensive lineman B.J. Raji.
And back at Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly, in the Huddle on the Woodward Radio Network. VJ Raji, Morgan Burnett, Bill Scott out tonight. I am Justin Hull as we get set for our email segment. So this is normally my favorite segment because I actually get to talk on the radio, so just to be honest with you. But our email segment brought to you by Granite Peak Ski Area. Our email question of the week, sponsored by Granite Peak Ski Area in Wausau. Each week we'll be rewarding the email question of the week winner with a 2-night stay and lift tickets for 2 days at Granite Peak. Go to inthehuddleshow.com and email us your question each week. You could be enjoying a great ski getaway from Granite Peak Ski Area in Wausau. All right, let's get right to it. First question is from Lynn. What was actually in the field yesterday when they had to stop the game because there was an unsafe measure? There was something sticking out of the field. Do you guys even know what we're talking about?
I didn't know that was even the case.
There was something. It almost looked like a coil or like a sprinkler coil or something like that.
Do you know who's on the field? Was it offense or defense? Or
I can't remember.
I think it was offense on the field then. Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll go past that one then. BJ and I were talking about this before. Another question coming in from Craig in Reedsburg. How do you guys travel to Chicago?
We generally, when we travel, we leave at the same designated time. And obviously, Chicago's a short flight with 35, 40 minutes. So it's a quick flight, and then we get out there. And Coach McCarthy does a good job as far as giving us some time to ourselves. Like if you have your family out there, you can go grab dinner. And then we have a team meeting with him at 9 o'clock. And then we're in the hotel for the night.
Now, is there any stories? I have heard some in the past where, the receivers, they make the rookie buy the dinner. Did you guys have to go through any of that on a road trip or any, rookie hazing, have to pick up the tab anywhere?
Go ahead.
Yeah, rookie year, I know like each position, whatever rookie in that position, you have to buy everybody in your position room a meal for the plane. So everyone to get their sheet out and say for 1 week, everybody in the room might want Tony Romo. So they write down there what they want. You got to call in, order it, go pay for it, pick it up, and make sure you get to the plane on time.
Yeah, I remember my rookie year. I had some of that, and also had I kind of caught on after the second or third time. They would be like, "Yeah, guys, let's go out to eat." Like all the D linemen my rookie year now, and we would go out, and then at the end of the day, like they wouldn't tell me I was paying until after we ate. You know what I mean? Like, not that it was a problem, but it was kind of like more of like a slick, like a sly move than just telling me like, "BJ, you're paying for the meal." I was just thinking like I had my own bill, and then I come up and the lady's like, "These guys are pointing at you to pay for it." And it's like, oh, these guys.
I know last year, Des Bryant of the Cowboys, wasn't there like a $44,000 dinner bill or something that he had to pick up at one point?
Yeah. At that point, it's just like, there's no way I'm paying for this. I'm not paying for half of this.
Do a lot of dishes, right?
Yeah.
Trying to make up for that one. We'll get on with the questions here. The next one's for you, Morgan. This one's coming from Colin. Did you keep both of the footballs from your interceptions yesterday?
Oh, yeah. I kept both of them. And when I got back home, I called my mom and told her I'd go ahead. Once I come home, I'll give her both of them.
So you have like a trophy room and stuff with all your accomplishments and that to go right in there?
Yeah. She does a great job of creating her own decoration, I'll say.
I have to ask you, last year in the preseason, I know it was the preseason, but you intercepted Peyton Manning. I mean, that football's got to be somewhere, right?
Oh, yeah. I kept that ball, too. Just like I kept the ball last week as well. So, yeah, I kept that one. And like I say, my mom has a special way of doing her decoration. So I gave it to her, and she's got it hanging up at home in Atlanta.
Where's the NFC Championship ball?
You know what? That's actually in my mom's possession, too. She immediately called me like, "You got to bring that ball home. You got to bring that ball home." A lot of people were excited in my neighborhood, and they were excited to see the ball, but I didn't get bugged for the ball like I got bugged for the ring.
How do you say no to mom, too, right?
Nah, it's not happening. Yeah. Didn't take no for an answer.
All right. This one's coming in from Mark in Madison. Do you guys follow Major League Baseball at all, and who are you pulling for in the baseball playoffs?
Sadly, when I was a young kid, like maybe high school, like early college years, I was a real big baseball fan. Then, I just tailed off because there's so many games. Same thing with the NBA. I watched. Obviously, the highlights are more exciting than baseball, but there's so many games, and I think that's why college football and NFL is such a fan American sport because it's so short games and like every game pretty much means something. So I haven't really watched baseball like I did, but if I were to root for a team, it would have to be the New York Yankees.
I have to say.
He grew up in New York area, right?
Hey, I don't have to explain myself.
I have to go with Atlanta Braves. I had to go with the Braves, though. My Braves were one game ahead of the Cardinals, so hopefully we can pull this last little stretch out and get in the postseason.
Now, you know what happens if the Braves do hold off the Cardinals. You know who the Braves would play, right?
Who was that?
That would be the Milwaukee Brewers.
I guess it'd be may the best man win.
So you mentioned watch a lot of football. Is it more college than pros, considering you guys do play on Sundays, so it's kind of hard to really keep on watching what's going on around the league?
Well, I would say, what do you think, Mark? I think obviously we watching more college games. Yeah. But I think just because of naturally NFL being our profession, I think we know a little bit more about it week to week, and I guess from a stat standpoint, and as far as know what people are doing because we're part of the league now.
All right. Well, we'll continue on here in the huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. Justin Hull in for Bill Scott. B.J. Raji, Packers defensive lineman, along with Packers safety Morgan Burnett. We'll step aside one last time and come back and wrap things up and take a look at next week's opponent, the Denver Broncos. In the huddle from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly on the Woodward Radio Network.
Now back to In the Huddle with Bill Scott and Green Bay defensive lineman B.J. Raji.
And back one final time from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. Justin Hull in for Bill Scott tonight, who's under the weather. BJ Raji is along with Morgan Burnett here. And before we get to our final questions, want to announce our winner for our Granite Peak email segment, Christy in Reedsburg. Picked her question. She had the question about if you had an opportunity to keep the footballs from when you had the interception. So she'll pick up that ski package from Granite Peak. Either of you skiers?
No.
All right. Around the NFL, 3-0 teams. The Redskins still play tonight, but I think not many people are surprised you guys are 3-0, defending Super Bowl champions. The Lions and the Bills are the other teams that are 3-0. Green Bay, Detroit, Buffalo. If anybody had that on a parlay, they probably would have won a little bit of money.
I'm sure Packer fans know this as well. The Lions played us pretty tough last year. Obviously, they split with us. And the first game that we actually won, they couldn't win either way. So I'm not as surprised with the Lions because it's still early. We only played 3 games. But I'm really surprised about the Bills. They were one of our opponents last year. I wasn't really impressed with them as a football team. I think we kind of, manhandled them. For them to come back this year, have a great start, obviously beat a great New England Patriots team. That's probably one of the shockers to me.
Well, was that the feeling heading into the season? I mean, do you look at the other teams within the division? Do you kind of, figure out who's going to be here, who's going to be there? And you're looking at Detroit as being a formidable opponent? I mean, everybody's talking about them now.
Basically, just going into the season, only thing, our main focus was just really worrying about the Packers, really. We can't really pay too much attention to what's going on in the league. Only thing we can do is focus on our next opponent, and week by week, how can we better ourselves?
Minnesota Vikings yesterday, have you seen what they've gone through? They've blown halftime leads of 17-7, 17-0, and 20-0 in their 3 games. I mean, nobody in here is, shedding a tear for the Minnesota Vikings, right. But that's some, I don't know how to put that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I'm obviously not a Viking fan, but I would just give the ball to Adrian Peterson. Why wouldn't you? And I remember, I guess it was a highlight on TV where it was a 4th down play, and they gave it to Toby Gerhart. I mean, I don't know how many games you're going to win giving the ball to Toby Gerhart. You have Adrian Peterson, an elite running back in this league. Why not give it to him?
Is he the best that you've gone against?
Definitely. Every question I get asked, because, sometimes, I'm not going to lie, I kind of get frustrated. It's like, how you guys going to stop this guy? And it's like, we have Adrian Peterson in our division. We're not going to see too many running backs as good as him, so I think we'll be all fine. I think we'll be fine.
You guys have a nice 1-2 tandem going on. I mean, Ryan Grant had a great performance yesterday. James was good week 1, week 2. Grant had the hot hand yesterday. When you have a dual backfield like that, as defensive players, does that make it tougher to game plan and not really knowing, who's going to get a majority of the carries?
What do you think, Mark?
It's tough because you got 2 great, powerful running backs, very athletic with nice speed. So it's like you got a 2-headed monster coming at you, and it's hard to stop.
I think, especially with the way our offense, obviously, there's no secret. We like to pass the ball, throw it around the field to our great receivers. But when you have a running game that can pretty much get you close to 100 yards a game, I think that allows the play calling to be a little less predictable. And I think that, Ryan and Starks, they have the ability to kind of take it the distance every time they touch the ball. And I think just the threat of that alone gets us into some favorable coverages and allows Aaron to just pick away at the defense.
Well, I think one of those teams that really made the running back by committee famous is your opponent coming up this Sunday, the Denver Broncos. You go back to their teams in the late 90s, early 2000s after Terrell Davis was there. They were throwing a bunch of guys at you. But what do you make of your opponent? Denver 1-2. What do you know here early on?
You know what? We haven't really even started looking at film on Denver. They're what you call an unfamiliar opponent. We know, obviously, division teams pretty well. They generally don't change too much. But I really don't know this team too well. I haven't really watched them on film. I know they have a good receiver, a decent running game, but other than that, I really couldn't tell you much more.
How different is preparation for an unfamiliar opponent when, it's a team you only see once every 4 years or once every 3 years? So, Detroit, Minnesota, Chicago, you kind of know what you're getting each week. Denver, you guys weren't in the league last time Green Bay played.
You just basically got to go into the game with the mindset of playing the defense and leaning more on the side of your technique that you're being coached throughout the week. Just got to go out there and be prepared and ready to play for any opponent, but more so you really got to stick to playing the defense and sticking to your technique.
Dom must be an easy guy to trust, isn't he?
Dom?
Yeah,
I have the complete trust in him. I mean, a lot of times he just does a great job. Sometimes, like for instance, we'll have a practice on Wednesday. I'll be our first practice of the week. Dom will have some calls set up for us, and we'll actually watch the film. He'll come back on Thursday and make some adjustments, minor adjustments, but we come to find out on Sunday it really goes a long way in our success.
Any disappointment you don't get an opportunity to try to knock the head off of Tim Tebow?
Tim Tebow's a nice guy, but anytime you get an opportunity to hit a quarterback, your eyes are going to light up, your mouth's going to water. I don't know what the situation is, that quarterback, but whoever it is, better buckle that chin strap up.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Lorton probably bringing that team in 1-2. You guys 3-0, and keep up the good work, all right?
Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, yeah. Thank you.
Morgan Burnett, Packers safety. Morgan, again, thanks for coming out, and as I said, good luck.
All right.
Packers defensive lineman B.J. Raji with us every single Monday night here on the Woodward Radio Network. Thanks for helping out the B team tonight, B.J. I appreciate that.
You did a great job, man.
He's B.J. Raji. He's Morgan Burnett. I'm Justin Hull signing off from Tanner Sports Grill in Kimberly. You've been in the Huddle here on the Woodward Radio Network.